What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another TLEV media video. I am here for a behind the screens tour for Halloween Horror Nights. We're going to be going through Monstrous and Evil Dead Rise today. So why don't you join me on this extraordinary adventure?
TLEV Media, bringing the magic of the theme parks to your home.
From vlogs to interviews, TLEV Media is entertainment for all.
Alrighty guys, first up is going to be Monstrous, the Monsters of Latin America house. I can't wait to go inside. The facade is so cool. And let's go see what Murdy has to say about this house.
Now we needed somebody to kind of tell this story because we're pulling from a lot of different stories from a lot of different parts of Latin America. So we created our own original character as well. He's kind of like Clint Eastwood in the spaghetti westerns in that he's like the man with no name. However, we gave him a name just so we know what to refer to him as. So we call him Muerte, or Death. And he's really our version of Mexican Grim Reaper. And he's a grave digger, so he's the caretaker for the cemetery. So while you're waiting in line out front, he's digging a grave.
Oh, so he'll be out here.
Yeah, he's out here. He does a whole pre-show out here.
Oh wow, cool.
And he starts to tell you the story of the cemetery, and his dialogue is partly in English, partly in Spanish. And as he's talking about these different monsters, you notice we have an owl up there that's kind of, you know, a reference to La Lechuza, so that's an animated figure that moves. You'll hear Elsa Vaughn's whistle, you'll hear the sound of an infant crying. But the main message that Muerte is telling you is monsters are real, and tonight you're going to meet them. Tlahupuchi's lair. So the way her transformation works, and she's a shapeshifter, so she can actually change into a whole bunch of different stuff. She can be a green mist, so she can get under the door of the victims, the houses of the victims she's preying on. She can turn into an insect. But the most common thing Tlahupuchi transforms into is a bird. And a particular type of bird, it's like a Mexican turkey vulture. So that's, in our research when I was looking at those birds, I was like, okay, that's what we're going to base our look for Tlahupuchi on. What she does is when she's ready to transform, she has to set a fire in the middle of her kitchen, of her house. And she has to use specific wood, she has to use specific herbs. When she does that fire, she has to walk back and forth over the fire in the shape of a cross X number of times. And then she sits on the fire and her legs detach. And then she starts to transform into a bird. So if you look behind you, what we're finishing up here is the fire with her detached legs, and that'll have smoke plumb to it. And then we've, Chris, our art director, Chris Williams, when we were talking about this, he was like, I want to give each of these environments like their own feel. So this one we really focused on the idea of birds. So you probably recognize one of those crows from Scarecrow last year. One of them's the animated one that eyeball and smell. It's so funny. I was walking past one of the stores yesterday, and there's a big like merch poster. It has like that little boo, whatever that thing is, little boo. Yeah. And a crow with an eyeball, and I'm like, hey, that's our crow. I'm like, wait a minute, how did that happen? But some of these are animated, so the crow's cawing and moving around, and some of the cages shake. And technology with Horror Nights like this year represents like the extreme of technology as far as what we've done at the event. Like we talk about Chucky and what we're doing in there. But then, you know, we always come up with these ideas that are like super low tech too. So inside those cages, there's what's called a bubble ball on some of them. And that's like cat toys, you know, or dog toys. They just go, it's like, it's just battery operated. We just like stuck one in there and we're like, oh cool, use the cage. So it's always a combination of like high tech and like stuff we would have done when we were kids. We kind of latched onto this idea like it was big enough to grab a man, you know, with his talons and scoop him up. So this year we've gotten into animation much more than we ever have in the past. So we've built a life-size La Lechuza. Just got bloodied yesterday, so it's probably still blood.
It's gorgeous.
Oh, this is on a shirt.
She is in terms of the key art.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
There's a shirt. There's a few schemes. Wow. We're gonna go through La Lechuza's witch tunnel, and you're gonna get attacked multiple times by live performers playing this character, and then we're gonna hit the next altar painting, which is for El Silban. Part of El Silban's story, and this is what we're really tapping into, and that I love what Lucas did with this illustration. Sometimes late at night, he'll visit a village, and if you hear his whistle and it sounds close, that means he's far away. If you hear his whistle and it sounds far away, that means he's close. And sometimes he'll stop in front of your house, and he'll take his sack down and put it down, and he'll just start counting the bones. But we thought that was a really cool visual, so Lucas did this piece of artwork, and then we thought, now we're going to open it up, and we're going to take you to a village. And it's a village that has a pulqueria, and a pulqueria, which is actually from Mexico. Pulquerias were kind of like the equivalent of saloons in the American West, in that they were a place where you went to for a drink, gambling, music, maybe to meet a girl. They were always the attention of authorities. There were always issues going on. And they served a particular kind of alcohol called pulque, and it's made from like the cactus plant. They add different fruits, and you can get it in all these different flavors, but in its natural state, it looks like foamy white milk. So we like that idea because that foamy white liquid mixed with blood would be really gross. Go into the cucina or kitchen. So the cook has met an untimely end. He's had all of his viscera ripped out of his body and strung up over his entire kitchen, and his head has been ripped off and is boiling in a pot. So there's actually water in there and it bubbles. And then, so we established El Silban with a stilt walker, but you can't have stilt walkers in every single scene. So when he attacks through that window, now he's on a platform, so he looks like he's really tall. And then from here, we're going to go into the meat walker, because you have to go through all these pigs. Through the hanging beef, you're going to get, or pork, I should say. You're going to get attacked by El Silban through that window. And then we wanted to create a finale sequence for this house, and I thought, like, okay, so El Silban came to town, he's ripped the bones out of like all these people, added them to his sack. By this point, the sack must be huge. So I went to Chris and I was like, I have this idea. It's a little crazy. I totally want to go inside his sack of bones. I think that would be like a cool environment to go into, so that's what we built. And when you go inside, it's just relentless. It's just El Silban, El Silban, El Silban, El Silban. It's just coming for you everywhere you go. You're running into him, including a surprise. So he was like, I think the hand should be holding on to the edge of the sack, and it's like he's pulling his head towards you. So it's, you know.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool. The hat makes it interesting to light. So we come back to the cemetery at the end, and it's Muerte, and he's got his shovel. And at the beginning, he's digging a grave, and there's nothing on the gravestone yet. And at the end, he says, "Si amigos, si mis amigos, monsters are real." In fact, this grave is for two. It's for you.
Alrighty guys, it is now time to go through Evil Dead Rise. I can't wait to see what's different for this house compared to Horror Hotel from last year. Remember, they can't change up the space that much in this house because it used to be the Walking Dead house, which a lot of the walls are like concrete walls that are up, so can't really change it yet, but they're planning on changing it in the future. So let's go inside the house and see what it's like.
When you're coming in and you're in the queue line, outside and inside, it's really about the Book of the Dead and the character of Father Littleton, which is the voice on the records that they find in the bank vault, the priest that originally found the book and sought to translate it, which is not a good idea. So it's one of the cool things Sam's producers did for me is they gave me like every page of the Book of the Dead and every piece of artwork generated. So we created a video. It's as if Father Littleton is giving a lecture to his ecclesiastical peers, and he's outside in the exterior queue. He's just like, "Isn't this great? We found this book and we want to translate it so we can find out, you know, the secrets." And then the second half, when you're in here, is like, "Don't do it! This thing is coming for you, and it's not going to stop. There's no way to escape it." And then when you turn the corner, we kind of pop into the Monday Hotel, which is our apartment complex, which is in downtown Los Angeles, rundown Art Deco, former bank that has been turned into a low-rent apartment. And we see the moment where Ellie is attacked by the Deadite force, or the demonite force and sucked up into the elevator. So she's an animated figure. She's kicking and screaming and getting pulled up, and the cables are also they're air driven, so they're all flying around.
Oh, wow.
And this is all just a little pre-show while you're waiting in line. And then we're going to go into the apartment and into the bathroom. It's like it was a Madonna tape in here. And I was like, I can't have a Madonna tape. Got to get it out of here.
Wow, really?
You know. So they have to create all the posters, all the artwork, all the flyers. It's all created by our graphics team. But what happens when you come in here is Danny, during the earthquake sequence in the movie, finds in the bank vault, the former bank vault, finds these records and the Book of the Dead. And he makes the mistake of playing the record where the priest does the words from Evil Dead that you shall never say out loud, or it summons the Deadites. So that's what's going on, is the record's playing and it's happening. And then we do what we call our disappearing room effect. So these are scrims, and if you look behind them, you can see the giant, huge pages of the Book of the Dead back here.
Oh, yeah.
So when we light it from the front and show lighting, we can make it look like a solid wall, and then we take the light off of that and light what's behind it, and you see right through it. So the whole room transforms, that side and this side. And then Demonite Ellie comes out again.
The actor will be here, someone playing the kid, right?
No, this is Ellie that comes into the room, so it's the mother character. So up until this point, Ellie has been makeup, and then we switch to a mask because in the scenes coming up after the scene, she's got those scissors shoved into her face, so you can't really do that with makeup. So now we're going to leave here and we're going to head to the kitchen and meet the other member of the family, which is Bridget, the daughter. 3 nights I see the tray sitting there, and I'm like, wait, what's up? Why aren't they carrying the tray? And they're like, they can't do it. We probably started this in like February. So once we got it to the point where I felt like it was time for Warner Brothers to come down, I invite them down, and we walk it, and they check it all out. And so this about 3 or 4 weeks ago that they came down. And there wasn't like there was no eggs here. There was none. Something, you know, we keep adding stuff as we go along till they tell us to get out, basically. So this is Bridget. There's a really creepy scene in the film where Bridget is eating a wine glass. So that's what we're doing here. So it's prosthetic makeup for Bridget with big shards of glass sticking out of her face, and she looks like she's chewing on this wine glass, and she's telling you she's trying to kill the creepy crawlies that are in her tummy. And then there's an effect to make it look like the gas burners are on the stove with LEDs. And then she's the distraction. She'll be like right here. And as you're looking at her, Danny, her brother, that she just stabbed in the heart with a knife, comes out, and he's the scare. And then that's going to drive you into the next scene. This is the lounge, like the big family kind of living room area. Ellie's going to come in with the scissors up her nose, and she's got her tattoo gun, so she comes at you with her tattoo gun. And then as you make your way towards the end, we see Bridget again, but now she's the burned version of Bridget because her brother tortures her with an aerosol can with the stove. So she's changed from her previous look. But every single, I give them lots and lots of reference on the set. Chris designs it with our production team. And then the props and dressing crew have to source and dress this entire set. When I was looking at how they shot that for the film, I noticed that it must have been for like a close insert shot, that they had this little plexiglass tank filled with blood. And I'm like, oh, that's clever. That's how they made it look like the blood was going up over her mouth. They shot that practical. So we took that idea and used it as well. So we've got this little plexi box filled with blood. That's on the other side of it. The elevator's filling with blood. And then it's a triple scare, all 3 family members, Ellie, Bridget, Danny, all at once. And now we're going to leave this and
come out the doors?
Mm-hmm. That door.
And then a scare actor in there.
Yeah, definitely there. So there's 4 performers.
You're trapped.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to go into the parking structure underneath the apartment complex. And we're going to start getting into the creature from this film, which is called the Marauder. That's a scene in the movie where the mother, Ellie, and her 2 kids, Danny and Bridget, form together to create this 3-headed, monster that goes chasing after Beth in the finale of the film. So we're going to start with teasing the monster. So we're going to walk through a space where there's a big, huge wall that's going to have projection on it to look like the shadow of the creature as it's just formed. and then we're going to go to where this elevator crashes in the basement and all the blood comes out. It's all kind of a setup because you get hit by that, and then Beth, with her covered in blood with a chainsaw, comes from the corner behind you.
Is that gonna swing out?
Yeah.
It slides out.
Yeah, it slides out.
Track.
Well, that was going to be it for my time for the Behind the Screams tour of both Monstros and Evil Dead Rise. I want to thank Universal Studios for having us out for that. That was a lot of fun. And I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We do all theme parks and horror content on this channel. If you want to support us, you can do that by following all of our social media accounts. Everything's in the links in the description down below. With that being said, my name is Mr. E. And I'll see you guys in the next extraordinary adventure.